You're on SteamOS or you're on bad site, and you just want to go back to Windows 11 because you just want to play some Battlefield 6. I'm Chris Mizo, and I'm here to show you exactly how to do so. You're going to have to make sure to shut off your device properly. Once you shut it off, you're going to have to enter the BIOS. In order to get to the ASUS ROG Ally's BIOS, so that way you can reset your ASUS ROG Ally, you just have to simply make sure that it's plugged in first of all. So make sure to have that USB-C cable plugged in. Then the next step is you're going to hold down the power button and the volume down button at the same time. Then as soon as it starts up, release the power button and it should get into the BIOS. So now when you get into the BIOS, it should look something like this. You just go to the advanced option. Now this is going to be great for anybody that has SteamOS currently on their ASUS ROG Ally and you want to get back to Windows, because you're also going to have to turn on your secure boot, which is TPM. So you'll also have to make sure that is enabled. So you're going to want to go to security, secure boot, and enabled. So now we're gonna have to save and exit, save the changes. In order to get to the cloud recovery, just go to the advanced option in the BIOS. So next we just gotta connect to the Wi-Fi. Connect to your local network. Once you start connecting to your Wi-Fi, you should get something like this. You want to make sure you get connection succeeded. If you have other issues, please make sure to stay tuned. And then from here, the cloud recovery should kick on. And you just want to make sure to follow all instructions. So just let it work its progress. And then as soon as it's done, you should be able to get right back into the original Windows that was with your ASUS ROG Ally. Now this clip was taken from the ASUS Xbox Ally X because it's going to be pretty much similar to what you're seeing now once you get through the whole cloud recovery. It'll be just like when you first set up your Ally. For those who have a failed recovery, I'll show you what to do next. Now say your ASUS Recovery Cloud is not working correctly. Say if you're running into some serious issues to where the Wi-Fi seems like it constantly disconnects, and believe me, this happens a lot more than you think. Well, what can usually happen is that the ASUS servers may have issues downloading directly to your ASUS ROG Ally. Regardless if you have the Xbox Ally or even the original Ally or the Ally X, it can end up hanging up between 0 to 10%, as that's more of a common issue. Now that happens between CDNs, and sometimes there's maintenance being done on those servers, so you may not be able to download directly off of the recovery image. Now if that's the case, you just wait about say a couple hours and then just retry then. If it constantly runs into that issue, just make sure that your Wi-Fi has a stable connection, because it can act pretty finicky if you are not on a stable connection and will refuse to download on your ASUS ROG Ally if that is the case. What I would recommend is get a USB-C to Ethernet port to get a direct connection to your Wi-Fi router. So that way you can have a direct connection to your ROG Ally to download the cloud recovery, and it will download amazingly quick this way. Another thing, actually check if the system time is correct, or even if the BIOS is partially somewhat reset. Make sure that you have your TPM that is set on. You want your secure boot on because you are installing Windows 11. Because otherwise, it will also refuse to download for those reasons. And in rare cases, sometimes it could be the SSD that ends up messing up more than anything. Now, if you are running into issues such as boot loops or no OS, you're going to be forced to install it via USB. Your ASUS cloud recovery isn't working correctly. There is a way you can recover Windows when you go to the ROG Ally 2023 edition. For example, you're going to put the RC71L and select the OS. And from here, you're going to notice pretty much immediately that there is no backup for you to be able to restore Windows. Unfortunately, the only way to really restore Windows on your device, especially if it is not backed up, is you're going to actually have to end up installing a clean Windows for your ASUS ROG Ally. You're going to create an installation media, and then from here, go to Windows 11. You're going to download Windows 11, and just make sure to have a USB that is installed into your PC. When you have it plugged in, we're going to right click it, we're going to format it, and we're going to name this recovery. Make sure it's set to FAT32, which is very important, and hit start. Afterwards, it should format, should be complete, and now you want to make sure to download your Windows 11. Now, just to let you know, once you do this, you're not going to have ASUS's Recovery Cloud anymore. That option will disappear because your drive will completely format any partitions that does have a Windows backup in your SSD. So just understand that if you do this, you will get rid of the cloud if it matters to you or not. The official OS from ASUS, the best way is to get it through the cloud, but if not, and you have to resort to this as your last step, there's nothing wrong with that. Or if you're just more of a purist and you prefer more of a pure Windows 11 installation, click the media creation tool. And now all it's going to do is it's going to prepare that USB. So it's going to say it's the media creation tool. You're going to hit accept. You're going to click English, Windows 11, for example, just like this PC. You can even switch it up. Just hit the uncheck mark if you want. And then you're going to put USB flash. And you're going to put it into that recovery file that we called it. And now you're just going to let it download to your USB. Once you get the notification your USB flash drive is ready, you just hit finish. Now what I would certainly recommend to do if you're going to install the clean method, make sure you go into the ASUS ROG Ally and go under support, and make sure to go under drivers and tools and download all the drivers that are required for this OS, as all the drivers are going to be missing on a clean Windows 11 OS. So make sure to download the networking tools, the chipsets, audios, download everything and throw that into your USB. So in order to do that, all you have to do is just hit this download button. For example, we have a DJ drive, we're going to hit new, and we're just going to call this drivers. We could all call it the RC71L for ASUS. And then we're just going to simply copy this over, Control C, Control V. And just drag it over, and that driver is now officially onto the USB. And you're going to want to do this especially for the Wi-Fi drivers, as that's definitely going to be one of the most important tools. Now you're going to have to re-download Armory Crate and everything, but again, you worry about that once you have it all set up for your ASUS ROG Ally. And as soon as you do, you just right click that USB, and now you can officially eject it, and it is ready to go. So when you have the ASUS ROG Ally ready, you want to make sure to have your dock, most importantly, or if you have a USB drive that turns to USB-C, regardless, you still have to input some power into your Ally, otherwise it will not go to the BIOS, where you have USB-A, and you want to make sure to have your power connected to this dock. And now we can go ahead and start it up and go directly into the BIOS. You're going to hold down the power button and the volume down button at the same time. You're going to see your boot priority. You're going to want to swap it over to your USB here. And now we're going to go ahead and you're going to just save and exit. Right down there and click save and exit. So once you get onto this screen, you're going to set your keyboard settings. Click Windows, install Windows 11, and you're going to agree to remove any files that you do have inside of this SSD. Then you're going to hit next. We're going to install it on the OS. Format partition up here. And then after you format the partition, you should be able to install the OS into that drive. Now, if you're careful, you could try to keep these other partitions if you'd like. But just to let you know, that is optional, or you can choose to format all your partitions and have it as set as one full drive if you choose to. Now, after you do install Windows, please make sure to install the drivers. It's always good to have an external mouse and keyboard just in case, so you can install all your drivers and Armory crates to get everything back to your ASUS ROG Ally. Now, thank you guys so much for watching. This is Chris Mizo, signing out.